So welcome everybody. This is the remix session. My name is Jorge Lucero. I am an artist from Chicago, Illinois. I currently live in Urbana, Illinois, which is where the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign is. I am currently the chair of the art education program here at the university. I'm going to be a part of this suite of presenters today. I'm going to be the last one, so I won't talk too much about my work now, just because I think I can do that then. What we would ask of you, please, is, well, first of all, I just want to say welcome. It's amazing to see the amount of people that are here this morning, or this afternoon for those of you who are over there. It's morning for us here. Anyway, it's great to see you all here today, and I think we're gonna have a really good time together. Just as a quick reminder, if you could please, I know that I've said it already, and I'm probably gonna sound like the high school teacher that I once was, but if you could please shut your microphones off or mute yourself so that there isn't that feedback loop that causes that weird interference. If you have any questions, the way that the sessions are for, everything is so tightly packed that the way that the conversation, one of the ways that the conversation can sort of be helped is if your questions are placed in the chat. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and then when the presenters are done, we can come back to those questions. And Emil's going to be in the room, so he said that he's going to keep an eye on the chat. I certainly will keep an eye on it myself, but sometimes it gets away from me too. One thing that you should know is that the presentations are all going to be 10 minutes each. They're not going to be longer than 10 minutes because we need to go back, because again, everything is regimented on this clock. So at the end of this hour, which includes this introduction, we're gonna have to get out of here, and in fact we will not have a choice. We will be sucked out of the room and back into the main room. So we want to make sure that we have given everybody a fair opportunity to show their work, and also if there are questions or discussion points that want to be brought up, we want to be able to give people the opportunity to do that too. Our four presenters today are, I'm one of them, and again I'll introduce myself a little more formally when it's my turn. But just to introduce our three other presenters, I'd like to give you a little bit of information about them so you know who they all are. And they're all contributors to the book, which, by the way, if you don't have the book, you should get the book, because I imagine that this is something that eventually will sell out, because it really is a great thing to have. So make sure that you get your copies, get them for your friends and families for the holidays, for your students, and enjoy. Our first presenter today is going to be David Serra Navarro. He studied at fine art. He studied fine arts at the University of Barcelona, and he teaches art and design at ESDAP in Catalonia. He has practiced as a visual artist, and he is interested in social innovation, interactive communication, and the debate over the ethical criticism of art. Our second presenter today will be Maria Litziu. She's a visual artist, educator, and researcher. She earned a PhD in art education at the Athens School of Arts and teaches art education at the School of Early Childhood Education, Aristotle University, Thessaloniki in Greece. Her research focuses on topics related to contemporary culture and identity. Our third presenter will be Hans Bellman. He's a multidisciplinary artist and art teacher at the Zaanlands Lyceum in Zaandam. That's in the Netherlands. His work is rooted in the tradition of the Dog Troep, a well-known Dutch theater group that applied various disciplines, visual arts, music, dance, and visual media, to create on-site performances. His work consists of paintings, collages, video, photography, on-site projects, and performances. So it's going to be an exciting time. I just wanted to point a little bit to the theme and just maybe reflect on it before we actually got started. So the theme for our session is the remix. I was struck particularly when I walked into the session today or logged into the session by the various versions of Chris Isaac's Wicked game, which was playing on the soundtrack. And of course, it automatically points to this idea of how you can take something and turn it over on itself or reinterpret it in order to create new meaning. And as you'll see, our presenters have all done this. What's amazing about it is that it runs the gamut of labor, so that it's not always something that is heavily worked or something that is heavily processed through skills. Sometimes it's a very simple gesture of juxtaposition, of just placing one thing next to another, of just making a slight tweak. And what I think that that points to is it points to this idea of material as pliable, and how even the smallest moment of pliability can produce a totally new experience and new sets of questions and new knowledges. So this section in the book, the remix section, I think all of the assignments point in that direction, in the direction of making making materials pliable, being able to move things around in order to make, through those reconfigurations, new meanings, new questions, and new experiences, even if the things that you're experiencing are actually familiar or come from familiar places. So I'm glad that we were given this as our category, because I feel that it points to something that's at the core of contemporary arts practices. And it's something that is definitely a part of our how we live today all over the world. Even if you don't have any skill sets whatsoever, like even if you just have a phone, right? Like this phone contains plenty of apps and plenty of means by which we can remix our experiences, even without arts skills. And that's a pretty exciting moment to be in. So without further ado, David Serra actually couldn't join us this morning, but he sent his presentation in video format, which contains his introduction. So I'm going to play that. And at the 10-minute mark, I'm actually going to have to cut it. But I think if it's something you want to see completely, we can ask Emil or Melissa or Sana or even David, if it's possible for us to be able to share it with the group or anybody who might be interested. So I'm going to share my screen now.
Hi from Catalonia. Good afternoon.
Are you getting David's video?
Yeah, we're getting it, but your controllers are in the way.
My controllers are in the way. Okay, give me 1 second then. Stop sharing. How about now?
This is good.
My name is David Serra, and my artist alter ego is Kenneth Russo. I'm sorry that I cannot be at this symposium live to interact with you, and I will try to be concise. My proposals for Wicked Art assignments have been think and legalize it. I explain it briefly. The strategy of reproducing reality has always been an academic learning resource. If we combine this idea with the methodology of Lego Serious Play, its goal, it's improving creativity, thinking, and communication. People build with Lego bricks three-dimensional models of their ideas and tell stories about their models. We open up new perceptions of speciality. Thinking, analyzing, and understanding a pictorial composition in this format of doing show us a new point of view which can be shared, creating dialogue between the interpretations of the different participants. The assignment is very flexible and is designed for different educational levels, mainly students in secondary education, but also students of higher artistic education. Even with design students, telematic sessions have been carried out through the Minecraft platform, using virtual blocks as Lego blocks and redstone to recreate interactive interpretations. Personal artistic production and collective exploration of the resulting artworks are the assignments also. And how to understand the remix? Remix, making changes to a work after it is finished, reworking it, reinterpreting it, reimagining it, but still using the same words, video, audio, code, imagery, or animation that we. But what is different about watching a remix video and watching a non-remix video? Do we perceive it differently? How so? As a complementary part of my proposal, I would like to show you one more extension of remix, maybe remix of remix. In our colonial artistic imagination, we have very internalized iconic artists, the first performance and the label images. Let us remember Yves Klein, Marina Abramovic, Marcel Duchamp, Joseph Beuys, Fontana, Magritte, David Hockney, Manet. But what meaning do they acquire when we try to reproduce them from manipulation? The next video is a remix exercise that implies learning, recontextualization, discovery, and experience. And it's a pleasure to share this document at this symposium. Thank you. I leave you with a video called Live Mosh. Only 5 minutes video of document work experience. Thanks, everybody.
I'm watching at all.
Are they making this for art?
It's a video of like this. The whole thing is about assignments that.
Can you please mute?
That's my clay. I need to go dump.
So I will stop it there because we do have to move to the next one. It's the video is virtually over. Actually, this was the part where the credits were going to come out. So you did get to see the whole. I just want to remind everybody, if you come on and you have your microphone on, that creates a kind of interference actually that doesn't allow the audio to go through from something like this. So for those of you who weren't, we did get some messages about whether or not there was supposed to be audio in this. There is actually a very unique soundtrack that went to this. So perhaps, Emil, maybe what can happen is this video can be shared at some point so that people can come back and watch it with and have the full experience with it. But if you could please just mute your microphone, because that the way that loops back into itself actually really does create an interference. So anyway, thank you, David. We're gonna move on now to Maria's presentation. And I am going to give you the floor, Maria. Do you have the capacity to share your screen?
Yes, I have. Thank you, Jorge. Good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here and present this assignment. I'm sorry. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Good. My name is Maria Letsiou. I'm from Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, and I'm visual artist educator and researcher. And I've been teaching visual arts for over 20 years. And I'm thrilled to be here and contribute to the discussion of art assignment. And also I'm very happy to be part of this amazing book, Amy Haynes, Melissa Bremer, and Saint Kerser publication. So, whatever the form of art assignment is, there are some fascinating aspects of the learning that make the field of art education a very special learning space. From the beginning of my teaching career, I realized the possibility and challenges of art assignment. Sometimes the missing instruction made the students feel puzzled when they have to make a decision and take risks in their artwork. Other times, the very strict instruction makes them feel boring because the result is predictable and leaves no space for exploration. Of course, how an art assignment is designed depending on the learning context. For example, I've been teaching in several learning contexts like teaching to talented students, public school, teacher preparation courses, adult children, kindergarten, and so on. So the challenging aspect of each case is to invite students to engage and insist in their artworks. So the previous knowledge, the curriculum, and the interests of learners should be taken into consideration, like the example I will present today. So my presentation, I hope, will give some ideas about art assignment that being implemented in learning contexts of talented students or expert level that have already developed technical skills in drawing and painting. So it's a different thing than Jorge introduced to us, because I have to work with students that have some talent and have already have developed their technical skills. So this particular art assignment was implemented in Art High School of Thessaloniki for 9th grade students. And the Art High School has a specific curriculum that is media oriented and tradition that address mainly the craftsmanship with several media, or developing skill in drawing from nature, realistic representation, and observation. And also previous art teachers support this tradition. So the challenge for me was to introduce students to the conceptual skills and the conceptual properties of the artwork. For example, some of the conceptual skills are the development of creative idea, or to create meaning with images that make the spectators feel surprised. And also the conceptual properties of the artwork are strategies that contemporary artists use in order to make public think differently about the world and make them challenge their stereotypical view of society. So I decided to design a unit that is based on the previous knowledge of students in drawing, and simultaneously introduce them to the idea of an artwork as a provocation object. In the particular case, they have to provoke the use of smartphone in contemporary society. I will show you some shots from the documentary film that I've seen in Netflix last week. It is The Social Dilemma, in which this documentary presents how social media and industries of producing these images affect individuals' life and make people feel like actually products. So this is the social concern that is in the center of the art assignment. And we see some portraits of people who are a little strange. So having this in mind, and the codex, the learning codex of the place where I taught, I made with the idea of clair obscure portrait. And I'm very delighted that this assignment is included in the art assignment. So before I go on with the art assignment itself, I would like to open a discussion about the topic of craftsmanship and creative strategies. The notion of craftsmanship expresses all those skills needed for an artist to handle the properties of materials in order to create a work of art. And often historical art is valued for the craftsmanship as well as painstaking skills. Chiaroscuro technique is an example of this painstaking skills, because artists use very complicated techniques in order to represent reality and the light. The illusion of three-dimensional volume in on the flat surface. You have some examples of artists from Renaissance, like Leonardo da Vinci or the Dutch master Rembrandt, who use and develop this technique. So I insert the technique in the art assignment, the chiaroscuro technique, and I use it in correlation with contemporary creative strategy, in particular the strategy of decontextualization. So the question I pose for my investigation was how I can engage my student in an art exploration that reveals the conceptual properties of the artwork. So I set the teaching objectives, that is to familiarize students with decontextualization as a creative strategy, and to make them understand art practice as a provocation. So they have to learn what decontextualization means, that is constructing meaning by position a familiar image in a new, unexpected relationship with objects and symbols, etc. and creating a kind of irony or parody in their artworks, because the image challenge are the sadistic of the images. So the assignment it may develop as a photography session in which students practice with photography and portraits and special lights. Here you can see some of the portraits of my students when they took photographs of themselves with the light of the smartphone in a dark room. There were some special things that they had to learn when they took photographs with DSLR camera. And then they use these photographs as models for drawings and paintings. As I told you before, these students have, they are talented students because there are students in art high school, so they have already developed drawing skills, technical skills in drawing and painting. So you can see some of the examples of my students. In which they practice, of course, how to draw from nature and how to draw a representation topic, but also they make some statement when the student uses a red line with the brush in the eyes. Some other portraits here. We can see in the left side portrait how weird is the side of this person. And when the students made this portrait, she felt not very good about the result because she thought that make something more beautiful, but actually she realized what is the meaning of this portrait.
1 minute,
So,
Maria.
yeah, 1 minute. Okay,
1 minute.
thank you. With this assignment, my purpose was to show how the art assignment may bridge the development of the craftsmanship, in this particular case of talented students with conceptual skills and conceptual properties of the artwork, that these students needed to learn more about that. And I realized that when it's focused, decontextualize a contemporary concern in a historical style, the learning implied ideas and questions, ideas that question the value of contemporary society, because these artworks are symbols of beliefs and values that are not a value now in our society. So the topic of smartphone, when it's placed in a historical context, reveal aspects of our contemporary life that need reconsideration. For example, everyday life or leisure time, etc. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maria. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to move on to our third presenter, which is Hans Baumann. And he also has a portion of his that's a video, but would you like to introduce it, Hans? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Mute, I have to unmute, yes. A short introduction. I think I have some stills from the assignment, and I like to show this is the assignment in the book. It is a very simple assignment. Take a page from an old book and make an image to go with it. The students underline the sentences in the book, and you can see a book as a container of emotions, a container filled with sentences. And it is very nice to see how strong it moves to the students. It is not necessary to read the whole book. Students are touched by words and short dialogues, and it makes them curious. It triggers their imagination. So we make a new book to make prints, lino cuts, collages, or a new book designed by the students. But we made a video, and I will show you that video, and we can start them.
Nog eens een rare dag is die eigenlijk pas vandaag. Of misschien. Het is weer een dag. Sinds gisteren. En ik zit met een app op mijn kaart. De ene herinnering. Het ellendig genoeg. Als we de angst ook uiten. Ongure krakende leren. Dat doe je maar. Zoetige geur van bloed. Bloederige buiken. Bek vol bloed. Bloederige hoofdbanden. Hoe absurd en onbegrijpelijk ook.
In het poppenwagentje deed de kat dienst als baby. Netjes gekleed met muts en kleedje.
Haar hoofd lag tegen mijn schouder. De stemming werd nog akeliger door. Zij bleef stil. Heb je geen zin in liefde? Onverwacht alleen gelaten. Schept angst. Wachten. 9 weken. Vreselijk. Over de takken trekken zwarte mieren rusteloos heen en weer. Zwart als bramen. Gevonden dagboek. 13 jaar oud. Ik wil hiermee niet in mijn kist aangetroffen worden. De straat was afgezet met touwen en rood-witte borden. Soldaat bewoog zich langzaam door de drassige wei. Donkere vlekken die zich langzaam uitbreidden. Een van de soldaten met een koptelefoon op hield een lange stok vastgeklemd. Kadavers van honden en koeien werden leeggehaald. De ingewanden eruit en de bommen en granaten erin. De politieman keerde met zijn laars het verstijfde lichaam om van de kleine hond.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay.
Hans, can you?
Hans, can you mute?
Oi.
Do you have any?
Do you have any?
Sorry. Do you have anything?
Sorry. Do you have anything?
Or,
I don't hear you.
can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any?
Do you have anything
else you need to say?
else you need to say?
No, because the only thing I can say is that this is the work of the students, and it is very nice to see how they are touched by the old books and words and the sentences. That is very nice to do with that students. So that's the only thing I can say about it. And I want to show you it with the video.
Great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can you
Can
mute
you
yourself?
mute
Hans? Thank you. Perfect. Okay. So we're coming to the end here. I'll do a little bit of a presentation. It's okay if I don't need to go for the full 10 minutes of mine, I can just briefly explain what my assignment was, and then we can open it up for discussion, which I think there might be a lot that needs to be brought up already, and conversation that needs to be had. So I'm going to share my screen here. Sorry, I apologize. One more correction here. And can you see this where it says going Dutch salad? Yes. Okay. So
Yep.
my
Okay, so my
thank you.
thank you.
My assignment.
Okay.
Assignment is
I'm gonna need to. You're gonna have to mute yourself there, whoever that is. Okay. My assignment is found on page 114 of the book. One of my assignments, I should say. And this is a piece that I was privileged to make with a group of students at the University of the Arts in Amsterdam 3 years ago, actually now. We have a long relationship now, Emil, Melissa, Sana, and myself, but it began, well, I should say, one of the important sort of touchstone moments of the collaboration was 3 years ago when I came to Amsterdam to do a residency, and I did it in several parts. So I traveled back and forth between the U.S. That year, back when that kind of thing was allowed. And in the first iteration, or the first time that I was there, and I was meeting the students and we were doing some workshops, just to describe what the residency was, we were working with, I believe it was 15 teaching artists and teachers who were already situated in different schools in Amsterdam. And we were trying to think around the idea of the teacher as a conceptual artist, which is an idea of sort of like a blended identity, or a blended practice, a hybrid practice, where conceptual art informs the teaching practice, but teaching informs a conceptual art practice as well. And one of the things that I was asked to do as part of the getting to know the students was I was asked to plan one of the meals for our time together. And they just said, do whatever you want. They didn't tell me exactly what to do. So I decided to make it, I recognized that, I knew this before I came to Amsterdam, but I was made hyper aware of it, obviously, when I was there. That of course everybody has like a bicycle growing out of their body, right? And so I knew that the ability to move quickly within the city was going to be a good thing, and we could use that somehow. So what I decided to do was to come up with something like a scavenger hunt, a game for collecting items for a salad, a collaboratively built salad, a salad that we could make together. And we called it Going Dutch Salad because of this idea of going Dutch is like sort of like splitting the cost, or everybody contributing. And the trick was to try to come up with directions that were, well, as has been explained in a lot of different places at this point, something like an enabling constraint. So something that was very tight, but also gave for a lot of possibilities and a lot of unpredictability. What we did was, in order to figure out who the students, which number on this list the students were going to get, was we put them in I believe I told them to stand in a line according to hair color, gradated from darkest to lightest. And that was just an arbitrary way for them to figure out a way to arrange themselves, but they very quickly did it through a little bit of discussion, something that perhaps they hadn't thought about in relation to their classmates. And then we counted them off, 1 through 15, and we did, I believe, there were 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 6s, 2 6s, 2 7s. I think. No, I'm sorry. Everybody had an individual number. Anyway, once you had your number, you got your assignment on this list here. And so you can see on the list, and these are replicated in the book actually. If you were number one, for the next hour, each one of you will go out and buy no more than, oh, sorry, these were the directions. If you go scroll down a little bit here, these were how the directions were given. They were told they couldn't spend more than 750 euros because we didn't want them to, and they were actually reimbursed through the project, but we didn't want it to be extravagant. We just wanted it to be something that fit within that constraint. And they were given a number. And so if you were given the numbers 1 or 2, they were assigned to buy only ingredients that are green in color, but not leaves of any kind. And so the giving the directions really had to do with trying to figure out what a person, like trying to anticipate what a person might do if they were given the direction, and then trying to subvert that direction. So if the direction was buy something green, we just automatically assumed that they would buy lettuce or spinach or kale or something like that. And so we said no leaves, something green but no leaves. So that made it actually very complicated, or more complex, I should say, not complicated. Please select more than one ingredient and have the things you choose contrast in texture. So if they were going to bring 2 things, perhaps they would bring a zucchini and they would bring a broccoli, right? And so they would have 2 different things contrasting in texture. Numbers 3 and 4 bring items that are wet and items that are by contrast dry. Consider the potential smell of the ingredients when making your decisions. So every direction had 2 components to it, almost to create a paradox and to make the puzzle a little more difficult to have to solve. If your number is 5 or 6, bring ingredients that you would designate as being a warm color on the color wheel. Bring more than one ingredient that fits that description, ensuring that the items you bring contrast, especially in size. If your number is 7, bring ingredients that are liquids and 1 or 2 accompanying ingredients that need to be eaten fast before the liquids you are buying destroy their integrity. I was imagining like salad dressing and a crouton, but lots of different things ended up showing up actually. If your number is either 8 or 9, you need to bring ingredients that are grown or originate from another country you have visited. Only some of these things should have seeds or pits. If your number is 10, you need to bring ingredients you would describe as white or translucent. In addition, look for contrast in flavors, sour versus sweet, bland versus salty, spicy versus bitter. If your number is 11 or 12, you need to bring 2 things that need to be cooked before they are added to a salad. Create a contrast in those ingredients by thinking about their point of origin. When you select your first ingredient, ask yourself, where did this come from? At that point, find something you would consider its opposite and bring that ingredient too. If your number is 13, bring 2 ingredients that had human interference in them somehow. That interference should not involve death, however you want to define that term. Also consider the names of these ingredients. Select at least one with a short name and one with a long name. If your number is 14, bring 2 things that are traditionally Dutch. One that you've seen in a salad before and something you've never seen in a salad, but you would dare to try. If you're not, I'll show you what that is in a minute. If your number is 15, go wherever you've decided to go. And when you get there, make conversation with someone who is also shopping or selling. Ask them what their favorite thing is to put on a salad. Bring us that. Do this 2 times, unless both people tell you the same thing, then do it a 3rd time. And then we gave them some other directions to sort of complicate the whole thing. And then we sent them off and we waited for an hour. And when they came back, and these are the pictures from the actual salad. And we did this there in the Breitner Academy in the, you know, I have to be honest with you, this is not something that exists in the States, an enormous kitchen in the middle of an art school, which we are in the process of raising money to get a new building at our university in our art school. And the very first thing that I said should be in there should be a communal kitchen. And I keep pointing to this kitchen in particular because of the way that most of the pedagogy that unfolded in the time that I was there, and therefore most of the creative practices that we undertook, started in this communal eating space. I know that it's something that seems so obvious and maybe we take it for granted, but it really was something that I wanted to pay attention to, and that I can't cease to think about almost every single time I have to engage students in some way or another, or even other collaborative practitioners. And I think we all know this in our guts intuitively. So then everybody came back and we maybe cooked and arranged and cut and for about an hour. You can see that Emil and I did nothing. We just stood around and talked, maybe interfered with the process. But then at the end, of course, we did the most important thing, which was we ate it. And we ate it together. And then I believe we kept eating it for the next few days. And there were people who were not part of the group who would then join us or eat from the same salad. It was an enormous salad. And then these are the things, these are the Dutch things that would not normally go into a salad. They were like these little pancakes. I tried them, it was pretty good in the salad. So here we are, telling the stories of the collections and the adventure of going to get the things and the decision-making process of trying to solve the problem of going Dutch salad. So I will stop here. And at this point, I would like to open the conversation. Emil, did you see anything in the chat that we need to address?
Yeah, so some questions addressed to Hans. Lily asked, who was actually in this project, who made the video, but I think he already answered that one, his students of secondary school. And Annelies asked, can Hans tell us more about the process that the students went through? Maybe that's a good one to start with. Hans?
Unmute. Yeah, I told already that they were very moved by the old language, and that is from my also a new possibility to look to a book. A book is a container full of emotions and dialogues. Mm-hmm. And I told them, look at that way to that book and to the page I give you. And it is a strange feeling because here you see one of the drawings. They draw it on the page. And it is new for them that they recognize the letters and sentences in the drawing. So it was in many, I saw them working and laughing sometimes over the meaning, because in the book, yeah, you can find very nice sentences and they are moved, and sometimes it's too much for them. I told them, put every sentence on a paper and make a new poem. And yeah, this is a kind of kickstart. And the result is very nice.
Yeah.
So yeah. I love that kind of assignment.
Okay.
Okay.
I see another question. Oh, you have to shut off.
You have to shut off the.
Hans. Maybe I think
one
minute to go. How did move forward with regard to what the students had discovered or learned in his assignment? That's for Hans too.
Yeah. A new way of looking to a book. So it is not necessary to read the whole book. And that is fine. When a teacher says it is not necessary to read the whole book, you can look to one page. And sometimes I see they are curious to the next page, but there was no next page. So then they told me, what is the next page? So I said, I don't know. You can look at on the container, but it is very. Oh, I see that I have breakout.
Time is up. Last
word.
Yes, we're going to be taken out of this room in 33 seconds. I just want to say thank you to everybody who came to this session. Thank you to the presenters, particularly because you remix that information presented and you prioritize conference style presentation for this other experiment. I'm really grateful for that. So thank you.